thanks for doing this. Our podcast is on your journey in music and how you got to where you are now.
Awesome, man. I can talk a lot about that. I poured a little glass here, so we're
Oh, right on. Cheers. I got my coffee. Dink. Rad. Well, I did read you're from Los Angeles. I'm in San Diego. Were you born and raised there?
yeah. I'm born and raised in Studio City, and I just
Okay.
took 1 year to go to Berkeley in Boston, and then I just moved back to LA.
Wow. Okay. So how'd you get into music?
There were so many pianos around my dad's house when I was younger. I
Okay.
just part of it was just trying to find a way to stay entertained, and then another thing was there was a talent show coming up in second grade. I was 6, and I wanted to do something to just, I don't know, like make my parents proud and be able to invite my sister and my mom and my dad to something. So I taught myself just a right hand little motif, and I played it in front of everybody
Wow.
in second grade. And the second I finished that, I realized I want to build off that. I want to be able to play with my left hand as well, and hopefully create a song out of this someday. And I really haven't stopped this many years later. It's crazy.
Wow. Was your parents musical? Like, why'd you have so many pianos in your house?
My dad was a film composer, yeah. So
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
He had an assortment of instruments. He was one of the best guitarists I've ever seen, and I actually thought I was going to become a film composer just like him for the longest time.
Oh, wow. And that kind of ties into your new record a little bit. I know with the Finding Nemo and the composition of the film and everything, right?
Yeah. I try to find little ways to introduce who I am as a person. I think it's really important, especially through your music, to just be unapologetically yourself. And I'm really proud of that. Something about this EP and the one coming next later in the year, I just feel like I've really been able to tap into just my true self through my music.
I love that.
I love your tattoos, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
These are awesome.
I was gonna say from the second grade right hand talent show. What did you obviously kept going with piano?
Yeah. I never sang. I just hid behind it. I just thought it was cool because I never really found myself to be an extroverted kid. So I just hid behind a piano, and I would have recitals all the way to high school when I would sell like physical CDs of my compositions. I was a hustler, and I just walked around and sold these pieces of music inspired by Hans Zimmer and Thomas Newman. And
Sure.
I just felt the need for people to listen to what I was working on. I think I made 300 compositions throughout, 14 to 17 years old.
Wow. And those were just no vocal, no lyrics or anything, just music, instrumental?
Just music, yeah. So I feel like I honor that now when I'm songwriting. Obviously, I'm a pop artist now, so I am a singer, and
Right, sure.
I've been able to find a way to honor my background just by starting with the music and letting it speak for itself before throwing lyrics on top of it, and everything's pretty smooth after that. I've been producing since I was 11 in Pro Tools, so it's
wow.
obviously the ugliest interface to look at, but it's like I'm addicted to it. I love it so much. I love being able to crack the code of a good structured song.
Like 11
and,
though. Wow.
yeah.
Like that. What drew you to like picking up Pro Tools? How did you even know about it? Like what made you go there and try to learn to produce?
I just felt like there was more. It was more than just playing an instrument. There was so much more I wanted to say, and I didn't know how to find the words. And what's great about these platforms, Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, whatever anybody uses, you're really able to break it all up and find a home for each instrument by making mistakes, doing the wrong thing until you play something that was right. So I taught myself without a manual, with without anything. Same thing the way I did with music. You just keep playing until it sounds right. And then I would compare it to some of the scores of movies I watched as a kid with my dad. One of his favorites was Gladiator, Hans Zimmer.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it was Hans Zimmer. Yeah, there's just, I wanted to emulate that. I wanted to find a way to just create original pieces of music. A lot of it though was to impress him though. I do know that much. It was like the only way I felt like I could connect with him. So I was thankful for the outlet. I know that I was deprived of certain emotional connections with him, but I basically saw my opportunities for what they were and refused to not have a relationship with him. So that's why I loved utilizing music as a kid to get closer with him.
And when did you start writing lyrics, like full on songs? When did you break out of the compositions?
We took a road trip to Nevada right before I went to Berkeley, and we just packed his car full of gear and recorded a song together at like the rooftop of a hotel. I think it was called the Aquarius in Laughlin, Nevada, and we just recorded this song that I wrote called "Lost and Found" that was about basically my dad and how much I wanted to keep our relationship, even though I was moving out to Boston for college. And he was always really oblivious though. So he never really understood the nudges I tried to give of like, hey, I want a relationship with you. I tried. And I basically found my own voice out in Boston. I was able to learn, I could write music for me, not him or anybody else for that matter. I could really find my own voice. And so I bought this toy guitar in Guitar Center out there, went into the subways and played the only cover I knew how to play on a guitar because I'd never properly played. And it was Tom Petty's Free Fallin'. And you have to get a permit. And I almost got arrested at one point. It's like this whole thing.
Oh my God.
But I was able, because they leave 1-2 minutes later, you're able to practice the same piece of music until you.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. You could just keep playing the same song because everyone's gonna get off. They're on their way. The next crowd of people come out, and you could just keep playing Free Fallin'. That's amazing.
Yeah, and just Free Fallin'. I was able to figure out how to, like, what does my voice sound like? My sister was the one that was so confident growing up, so I never even tried to see what it could sound like. And it was great because you learn a lot about grit out there. You learn a lot about stage presence, with a lot of social anxiety that I struggle with. I was able to tap into that and play for me. Like I just said, I am performing right now only for my own fulfillment, and I owe it all to those days being on the streets. I even did that. So I took 1 year at Boston, and then I moved back to LA and kept doing that in Burbank and Santa Monica.
Oh, wow. Well, I want to talk to you about getting into Berkeley. Did you go in as a composer, a film scorer, or how did you get into the school?
I obviously, on paper, this is the unfortunate part about the college admission process is on paper, it said that my dad, was wealthy, but he was slowly but surely separating himself from me and the rest of my family to the point where then he just got up and left one day in 2014. And because of that,
oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
I was only able to afford 1 year. And on paper, it's you don't want to give a guy from LA whose dad is successful like a scholarship. So but I'm really proud of myself because they did let me in strictly because of this composition I created and performed during the audition. It was 11/8 time signature. I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I don't really often hear songs with that time signatures. And then I got interviewed and I was able to express like my serious obsession with film and TV and just everything I want to amount to and learn at this school. So I was able to get in. Like I said, unfortunately, it didn't last too long, but I've always persevered. I've always ended up on my feet and came back to LA, bought myself a bunch of gear that I couldn't afford to street perform, kept doing that, and was really able to make a name for myself and realized that I want to be a songwriter. I want to be an artist. I want to play my original songs in as many venues as possible. And I had to go through the street performing process of playing covers to please everybody else, to realize that I've set that ceiling for myself and I need to break through and I need to write about the things that I've experienced, because there's a lot that's happened and maybe it could help somebody. And it was a really satisfying day. Every year I quit one job that didn't make me happy. I would street perform while also deliver Taco Bell to rich people in Beverly Hills. I would teach kids how to play all the basic instruments. I did it all and flipped burgers at one point. And then there was a day, it was January 1st. I remember one of the years in the last 4 or 5 years, I realized like I am afloat. I'm able to take care of myself, but I'm not happy. I'm not like gigging and doing my passion full time. So I just quit it all, focused on my music, and thankfully was able to start like going on tour and playing with acts that I was just in love with. And it all happened so fast. I was really thankful.
Yeah. Well, with that, like, what was the first song that you had recorded and put out and kind of started to make a name for yourself?
I released my first single in 2018, right around this time, called Microphones and Lights.
Okay.
And it was crazy. I had spent 2 years before that trying to track down the head of pop at Apple Music at the time, which is, his name's Arjan. And I just remember it all came to a head. That night I played the Hotel Cafe and released my first single. And I left the stage and went home and saw that, you know, this man put me on the homepage of iTunes back when iTunes was a thing. And
that's huge.
I was able to see like, no, they like that. They appreciate the resilience and believing in yourself to send emails. And I used to do everything back in the first release. Like I would act as my own manager through email correspondence. I would do it all up until like that song came out, Microphones and Lights, and my team got bigger. I started working with one of the most hardworking managers of all time, Jay Cohen, and it's been 3 years. And there's a lot that is happening right now because of our persistence, how much we believe in this.
That's amazing. So just, was it from having that song on iTunes? Like, how did you link up with your manager?
He was, I played at a church in Burbank called South Hills, and my buddy Sean Artero took beautiful shots of all the performers there, and he threw my name in the hat for Jay. He was a music manager, and yeah, everything just happened that week of the show. It all moved so fast. I was able to, because I had a couple different horror stories of being independently on the road and getting screwed over financially and stuff. And so I had a lot of trust issues in the beginning, and sure. I'm just so thankful to I just put it all on the table and I said, this is what I've done. How do you feel? What can we do for each other? How can I believe in family first, and how can we grow to the point where this is just a machine like mentality, and it's I never really take a moment to look back. So it's nice to have these conversations to be able to see just how far we've all come since 2018. Wow.
Well, with that, you were already touring and kind of setting stuff up on your own prior to that show? And
yeah, I mean
the release, obviously.
Yeah, one of the first tours I booked for myself, I called it I don't have a booking agent, so I just booked it myself tour. And I wish I was joking.
That's such a rad thing. Like, people will probably like, oh, that's funny. Like, he's totally joking.
Yeah, it was 2017, and I've found a way to get to the East Coast and back.
Wow.
And played as many coffee shops and So Far Sounds. I love those people there. They do an amazing. I'm sure you've heard of those shows. They're pretty big in San Diego.
Yeah. I
guess before the pandemic.
Yeah, they were big up until 2020.
Pre-corona. Yeah, I loved getting on the road. I was able to snag an opening slot for Howie Day in 2016. I was able to figure out how to open up for One Republic in 2018. And
how did that happen? That's amazing.
Just hard work and lots of emails, man.
Was that done by yourself, or was that after you had the manager?
It was all, we had just started working together. together. But I don't recommend this or promote this, but I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep or eat for a couple weeks. There was a period of time where I saw an opportunity. There was a 4th of July show at Provo, Utah, Stadium of Fire. Like people jump out of planes, and it's like the biggest fireworks display of all time. And they have live music, and every year they have like either a country artist or a big famous pop artist come in and headline it. And there was an opportunity posted online to become the opening act, and nothing else mattered to me. I think I stopped all of my gigging for the next couple weeks just to figure out how to get my video submissions in front of the right eyes, and we figured it out. And I was able to drive my whole band to Utah, and it's so validating because, I mean, I love my past, but like to sing a Sam Smith, Coldplay, Ed Sheeran song over and over again on the street, to being able to play Microphones and Lights, like the first original song I ever really tried to promote in front of 65,000 people, is so rewarding. And it feels like a dream ever since I did that.
That's crazy. But you're okay. You were talking earlier how you're not an extrovert. How is that going on stage to 65,000 people and playing your song?
I mean, it just didn't look real. I'll send over a photo later. Like it just looks like a Renaissance painting. And because of that, I just have a really hard time being present, but that was actually to my benefit. So I could just focus on
the song.
Don't mess up. Play the song to the best of your ability. And that's it. That's your one job. And I'm just happy I was able to do it with my best friends. I think like, I know I'm a solo artist, but I really do have a band family mentality when it comes to every single release, every show. As much as I can, I'd love to involve my guys. So it was really rewarding to be able to like say, hey, are you down to meet Ryan Tedder and play a show with him?
That's so cool. I'm sure getting that like email or phone call telling you that you're going to be opening was a big moment.
I was getting a very overpriced acai bowl in Beverly Hills, and I just knowing me, I was
even what you were eating, dude.
I was complaining about it, I'm pretty sure, with one of my best friends, Nico, and I got the call, and him and I both taught a bunch of kids together at this recording studio in West Hollywood. And it was a great day to be able to go in there and have this little secret that I haven't told anybody, not even my mom. And yeah, ever since I've really used that as fuel, because that song touches on a lot of different subjects about not wanting to be a hypocrite on stage itself. And so I took that as a huge sign, like these people believed in that song enough to invite me out and play that show. Why don't I keep diving into that? Why don't I go deeper lyrically? Why don't I figure out how to talk about these things that are just not necessarily talked about enough as a male pop artist? And so ever since, I've really shifted the narrative. I've found a way to bridge the gap, be able to please everybody with making a polished pop record, but do what I really want to do, which is talk about toxic masculinity, talk about my crippling anxiety, like all these things that make me who I am, and it's up to me to learn how to embrace them.
That's amazing. With that, like, I mean, after that, big moment, you're playing with Ryan Tedder and 65,000 people. You get home, and when do you start writing what became Things I Can't Explain?
Oh man,
was that a bit later?
No. That timeline seems pretty accurate. Ben, my drummer and producer, would invite me and Kirk, my guitarist, up to Oak Park, which is where his mom lived, and so we just always rehearsed and just tried to get weird. And I remember the first song on that EP's
Get Weird.
Okay. Yeah. No. I just wanted to. I didn't want to beat around the bush lyrically. I just wanted to, and they totally saw my vision, that's the most important thing, is that if you surround yourself around people, make sure that they get your vision and challenge you. And we've just really lifted each other up. That first song on that EP is called The Weight. And I remember I came up with this again, which is kind of funny because it's how I started when I was a kid. I came up with a right hand progression. It's really haunting and Trent Reznor-y, and I just thought it would be really cool to just write over that. No chords, nothing. Write the entire song over this right hand progression. And ever since like that era, 2018, I've always tried to write in the most unorthodox way. I'm pretty sure every song that's coming out this year was written not through a session, but through a last minute FaceTime of me annoying one of my friends and or one with my girlfriend. Like I really want to break the stigma of going to sessions. Like I think you could do it with anybody. You really can write a song with anybody.
I love that. That's really cool. So that's how that record came about. I mean, you were just screwing around with your friends and you put out this amazing, what became this amazing EP.
Yeah. Ben really challenged me in the best of ways because Kirk and I have very indie folk Americana roots. I met him back in 2014 and we were making like Mumford & Sons demos style.
Oh, sure.
And Ben came to us and said, what if we made it pop? Like, what would that sound like? And I was so close-minded at first because I didn't want it to sacrifice my artistic integrity of where I came from and the folk renaissance that I believe inspired me to do music between 2009 and 2012. You know, you got Mumford & Sons, of Monsters of Men, Vance Joy, and
Oh, sure.
all these acts that I just looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
And the second Ben, like I started feeling like, oh no, he's right. And he really wants to take us to a new place that I've never been before as Dylan Dunlap. And ever since we don't really have to talk about our sound as much. We kind of just understand all of our own needs that need to be met. Kirk and I are very theory influenced. We're the biggest nerds you'll ever meet. And Ben doesn't know a single thing about theory, but he literally completes us in every single way possible on the soundscape side. And just one of the most talented musicians that can play anything and everything. And yeah, I just think it's gotten way more. I've figured out who I am through my songs just in the last 2 years. I've figured out what I want to say.
Mm-hmm. And you've accomplished, I mean, so much in the past couple of years. I mean, that next song you put out, if that's all right, is like crushing on Spotify. I mean, it has almost 22 million plays. That's just amazing. Like, tell me about that song and how did you tell me about the success of it too? Like, was that like, I don't know, was it quick or gradual? Like, I mean, that's a lot of people listening to that song.
It doesn't feel real. I mean, honestly, I was really banking on, I was just about to get some plane tickets to go to France in March last year, meet these people that were streaming this song 70,000 times a day. Like I was so excited, and obviously everything shut down. Sure. I think it's the best thing that has happened to me though, because I don't think streams can provide long lasting fulfillment. And I think that is the thing that we all as creatives chase the most, is for our music to be graded to that extent, like to just be given the biggest stream count of all time. And
sure,
you're right, this number is rather large, but
a little bit.
I like that I haven't been able to, I mean, other than videos and photos and stuff, like I haven't been able to see the impact because I'm still in this mindset that it's just my own little indie folk song that I co-wrote with a friend. And the message is just so intimate to me. And I don't know, I just have a lot of faith that someday it's gonna pay off. And when shows are a thing again, I can sing along with the people in the audience. But like I said, I think that this has been a huge learning lesson of what is most valuable to me. And that's just create the best music you possibly can. And when you put it out and it has 0 streams, your job's done. And it's important to let go and remove all of your precious insecurities and everything. Just let go entirely and move on and think about what's next. How can I just keep going? And I literally haven't stopped. And I'm sure you're going to ask at some point, like what this year looks like. And we are planning to put one out every 6 weeks now. And
Wow.
I'm just really,
That is cool.
excited for the consistency.
That's amazing. Well, with that, I mean, you're talking about not being, you had a plane ticket to France because that's where the biggest numbers were coming out of for that song.
Yeah, sorry, my connection's a little messed up. Yes, we had planned, my manager and I were just going to fly to Europe and take every Spotify meeting we could and play as many club shows as we could in like the span of 1 to 2 weeks. And because If That's All Right at that time was really taken off. It had 3-4 million in a couple months, and we just wanted to ride off of it.
Sure.
And for the best, though, for everyone's safety, including my own, we stopped it all in his tracks. And I expected every day, like, it's going to stop. I need to stop relying on this song. And it just it's still going today. People are still listening, and it means the world to me.
That's amazing. And then you followed up with a couple more, million plus streaming songs. And that was all. So all of this kind of happened right as everything was shutting down, it sounds like.
Yeah. It's been my coping mechanism. I locked myself up in my girlfriend's closet and recorded so much music. The song that I just released the other day is the first song I wrote during the pandemic. And
Follow My Echo.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to write about anything else but COVID, and I thought Finding Nemo would be a great concept for
a
song.
That's awesome. Well, I want to talk to you about that in 1 second. So we're obviously, you had the plane ticket booked or whatever you guys were going to leave, and that was March 2020 when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were. I had a single release show for Who Would Have Thought on March 12th, and March 12th is when LA locked down. And so we had to, the biggest thing for me, I felt so bad for everyone that bought tickets. Like the venues didn't know what they were going to do, and I couldn't promise refunds, and I'm pretty sure it all sorted itself out now. But I remember being so upset to have worked so hard towards a show, an intimate show, a lot to me, and to have to let people down. But then everyone else started canceling all their tours and shows, and I just realized, this is bigger than us. This is we all need to know our place and just stay safe in this time.
Mm-hmm. And wow, okay, so when everything shuts down, then you don't want to write about the pandemic. So the first song you wrote is Follow My Echo. And were you able to continue to be creative over? I mean, it sounds like you've got a bunch of songs, a bunch of stuff going. Like in the beginning of the pandemic, you said you locked yourself in your girlfriend's closet. Like, tell me about that. Like, were you able, like, right away? Did you just hit the ground running and started writing?
I think I've written 25 to 30 songs that I want to release. And this has never happened. Like I'm just equally in love with all of them, to the point where I was talking to my manager earlier today, just saying, we're talking about track list for the EP after this EP. And I honestly, like, they're all just my children and I love them equally. So I'm in a position now where I'm just like, do you want with these songs? Because I'm just so proud of them, and the conversations that I somehow started, and to involve the people closest to me. Like I was saying about having co-writers, it's such an important experience to have conversations with people and even create with them. And so, I mean, all of this year will consist of music that breaks down what it means to struggle with a low amount of serotonin, what it means to be really stubborn as a music artist and want something to be a certain way, but realize that there are so many other pieces at play. Like, I'm writing about current struggles, and I just want to maintain the utmost transparency. I don't want to write a love song or a breakup song every single time, and just because I know that might do better. I'd rather true as the listener, and through my team and myself, make it as perfectly polished as possible, make it a great experience for you to listen to it. But if you read these lyrics, you can actually you can break them down. You can learn more about me and hopefully yourself in the process.
What you okay? So you have a
And so, yeah,
bunch. Yeah, you have a bunch of songs coming out.
well,
What was like? How were you able to narrow down what songs are going to go on this first EP to what's going to happen after the fact?
there's I mean, the same thing happened with EP1, and the same thing's going to happen with the other EPs. Like, I really believe in democracy and making sure everybody vocalizes what their perfect world idea of an EP. What's yours? What's yours? What's mine? What Marissa, my girlfriend's? What's like everyone? And this time, in regards to the music that is about to come out as the year progresses, like there really haven't been any arguments. We're all on the same page of like, oh, that needs to come out first, and that needs to come out at that, and then here we are, just want to put them all out, and I love this because it's the old practice of patience and letting songs breathe. Most importantly, being present for each release on my end, because I'm sure you tell I don't stop working, and that comes to your detriment. So I'm really excited to practice just being mindful. So like this past week, I've really worked hard to ensure all the posts go up at the right time, but I'm also really trying to just exist and enjoy this song for what is at the level that it's at. If anything happens, that's a blessing, but being focused on what matters most in the end.
Sure. Well, with that, like with all these songs that you've written, I'm sure you're obviously going to carry forward writing even more songs. So how do you feel like when it comes to the current state, and like obviously with, the traditional record tour kind of mentality, now you're going to have a record that you're going to put out next month, and then you said you have a couple other already in the works, but there's no real like opportunity to go out and play. Like you weren't even able to play that first record. So is it going to be weird to kind of have a whole like, catalog of music prior to the like world kind of opening back up again?
That's a great question. And I think that that's something that a lot of artists and bands wrestle with, including myself. It's like, do we want to hold off? Mm-hmm. Do we want to just wait so we can release this on a Friday and pack an arena on a Saturday or Sunday and really like experience what it means to release a song in front of people? But I don't feel like I'm running out of time, but I just really feel like I want to take advantage of it. And I have always, this is an insecurity of mine that I struggled with for quite a few years, is I've always thought of myself as an opening act. Without even realizing it, I put myself down because I always talked about, man, I would just kill to open up for them. If only I could just open up for that band. We sound so great together. That artist, we would be perfect pairs. And what I was doing by continuously talking about myself to myself in that way was, again, I was setting a ceiling for myself. And so I'm taking 2020 and 2021 specifically as an opportunity to build my catalog and not withhold anything from the people that are so beautifully supporting me already, and promising them something every, like I said, 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, I
like promising that, like,
tell me about that a bit. Yeah, after
you can expect this from me because this is the most important thing to me, and that's just a promise. And so the way, in my mind, the way I see it and justify it is when we actually do get to go to Europe, maybe there's a chance I can headline. Maybe there's a chance I can bring enough people out, which is something I never said because I never wanted to seem arrogant. But there's a fine line. I think it is important to believe in yourself enough to think that you are worthy and your music is worth listening to, worth buying a ticket to see live. And I'm justifying it by thinking that when everything opens up, it's going to be at the right time, and I'm going to be able to play for the right people that need to hear it. And that has been what has kept me sane throughout these months. Obviously, releasing a song after song and like it gets repetitive, especially during this quarantine time. But I just feel like I would be doing people and myself a disservice if I didn't express myself in this way.
I love that mindset. That's really an amazing thing. Like, hey, maybe when the show's opening up, I won't be the opener. I'll be the headliner. Maybe I'll be able to pack 1,000-seat room instead of a 250. I mean, like, that's just such a great mentality to have. I love that. And when you're talking about like releasing songs, you know, every so many weeks, 6-7 weeks, are you premiering them on, like, are you doing any of the like live streaming events type thing, like to play the songs for people, or is it just going to go up and you're going to let it do its thing?
One of the biggest goals, I always think it's like important as every year passes to think, what have you been lacking and how can you perfect that moving forward? And for me, it's on the visual side. So I very much look forward to having, you know, put in the work and having music videos, lyric videos. I love live videos. It's the easiest thing to do and it's so much fun. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely look forward to supporting each song visually, but I can also say this. I honestly don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to do it anyways. There's a concert next month that I'm really looking forward to, and I'll leave it at that. But it's
awesome.
it's gonna feel validating to be able to play these songs at least one time. And yeah, next month is gonna be really exciting. It's some of the best visual content I think I've accessed in my career, and so a lot to look forward to in the next month. You know what I just realized is this lighting is truly the worst. So we're just gonna try this out.
Right.
Let's see.
That's awesome. You did a video though for Follow My Echo, right?
There's a tree. Yes, I woke up. I woke up in a desert with a goldfish in a plastic bag, and the whole video is me just trying not to kill it. But I guess for legal purposes, I should say to keep it alive the whole time.
Go.
And there we go. And yeah, it's really cute. I think, again, it's like some of my best visual content. My best friend from childhood, Tim Toda, shot it. He came up with the concept. The song is all about the ocean, and he just brilliantly flipped the concept on its head and actually made it about a dry desert that I wake up to in like this fever dream. And just I think it touches on what the father in Finding Nemo goes through of, I just don't want you to get hurt. You know, when you go out into the world, I want to be there for you. But the realization that you can't always be there is a tough pill to swallow. So this video kind of taps into that, and I'm able to just try and bring it to safety. And I'm so happy. I mean, the fish is doing really well, and it's in my apartment. So
he's still there. That's awesome. What's the name of the Nemo?
Echo. Yeah.
Oh, it is Echo. That's dope. The video premieres tomorrow, right? Tomorrow morning.
It premieres at 10 o'clock PST. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Are you pretty excited for that? I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I love that Spotify has updated so many different features in the last like 12 months. The Canvas option has been super cool because I can have Kirk, who plays guitar for me and also does all my graphic design. I'm able to like have him export like footage from the music video and use it as the canvas. So even when you're just listening to the song, you can still get like
on your phone where it's kind of things happening in the background when you're listening to it. Oh, that's really dope.
Yeah. Nice little teaser, or so you can know that there is a visual representation for the song if you want to go on YouTube or Facebook, whatever.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And thank you, dude, so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Dude, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Other than the video for Follow My Echo, like, do you have other videos coming out? Like, do you have other stuff in the works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I can say. Yep.
I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is probably the most unprofessional one of them all. Like I think I want to put a GoPro on my car, and for every song that I put out in the new phase of music that's going to be very soon, I want to feature each person I wrote with. So like it's somewhat inspired by Corporal Karaoke, but like I'm able to like call it co-writer the lyric video. And for each one, you'll be able to sing along, the lyrics are there, but you're also able to see that it's not just me. Like I want to showcase all the different people that I'm so blessed to be able to work with. And so each video is going to feature the person I wrote it with, and we're just going to jam out.
I love that. That's such a creative concept. I've never seen that, and I love that idea. It's so good.
Well, I just feel like a lot of people don't feel represented, and it's so easy to do. It's just, if you post a photo, you should credit the person that took it. Mm-hmm. If you write a song and release it, you should, shed some light on the people that were a part of it. And that's my favorite part, is being able to showcase who I'm able to do this. I can't believe I get to call it a job, but like do this job with.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's really awesome. And again, thanks for doing this. I have one more question for you, Dylan, before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oof. Yeah. Okay. I don't think anybody is unreachable. And it is so important to bet on yourself and believe in yourself, to send that email, even though you probably won't get a response, to release that song, even though it might not meet your expectations, to post on the social media pages, even though you don't have the numbers you want. Like, I just think it's so important to bet on yourself. And if it's one thing I've learned, it's that people want to work with people that work extremely hard and believe in themselves. It's I don't know. I've somehow been able to collect this team of people that work just as hard as me. And I have to believe that was because I believed in myself to take risks and play for nobody on the street and have a good time doing that, because nothing else matters if you don't enjoy doing it, whether it's for 10,000, it doesn't matter. And so I would just say, don't give up, and that email, keep writing. And yeah, I could talk for hours about what I would tell my younger self, but I just think it's a real blessing to be able to have these conversations. So thank you so much for having such great questions.